Welcome back to Arise Interview. I'm Somna Sambo. Nigeria and Botswana are both members of the Commonwealth and the African Union. Both countries have over the years paved the way to transform their cooperation towards the achievement of sustainable, inclusive economic growth. Botswana has appointed its first honorary consul to Nigeria, Ade Adefeko, who is a consummate commercial diplomat, as he likes to be addressed. He has worked in various sectors of the global economy, from health to agriculture, from communications to trade, and most recently, making giant strides in diplomacy. He has a vast command of 10 foreign languages. As the first ever Botswana honorary consul to Nigeria, he is expected to promote the commercial interests of both countries. Adefeko has presented his letter of credence, commission, so to say, to Geoffrey Onyama, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Let's take a listen to that.
Nigeria and Botswana have had relations since 1966. Nigeria is the second African nation after Zambia to open a mission in Gaborone. And of course, Nigerian and Botswana relations have dated back since 1966. That's a very long time. And of course, a lot of you know that Botswana is an oasis in the desert, but one of those countries that have, it's a country of 2.3 million, 2 million people and 2.3 million heads of cattle. So, I mean, we could jokingly say that they have more heads of cattle than people. But again, it's a country that has a lot of mineral resources and a country that is a kind of beacon for Southern Africa. And what has happened today is that I've come to receive a letter of commission as honorary consul of Botswana in Lagos. Nigeria and Botswana can do a lot. So in the area of agriculture, in the area of mining, in the area of particularly beef, because of course, Botswana is the largest beef producer in Africa. So that's something that a lot of Nigerians need to know. So, so that's very important. So Botswana is Africa's largest beef producer. So I think after Botswana, you have probably Namibia, they have South Africa, and I think you have Zimbabwe, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, I'm now being joined from our Lagos studio by Ade Adefeko, Botswana's first honorary consul to Nigeria and the Vice President, Corporate and Government Relations of Olam Nigeria. Good to have you, Your Excellency.
Thanks.
And let's start with how it feels to actually be Nigeria's first, Botswana's first honorary consul to Nigeria. And you're a citizen of this country. I mean, you've traveled a lot. Your dad was an ambassador, but here you are taking, following his footsteps. How do you feel in that position, actually?
Well, very interesting times. Like I said, when I received my letter of commission from the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Geoffrey Onyama, I spoke to the fact that we have had relations since 1966 and that we're the second nation, African nation after Zambia, to establish relations. So that speaks to a lot. And let me quickly correct, I am the honorary consul. Honorary consul operates in the jurisdiction where the ambassador doesn't operate. So we have the High Commissioner in Abuja, and I'm going to be operating from Lagos. So I'm the honorary consul of Botswana in Lagos. So I'm going to be representing all Botswana interests in Lagos. And I'm going to be making sure that I promote or I help promote the relationship between, sorry, let me adjust my, yes. I'm going to be helping promote trade between Botswana and Nigeria. There's a lot to be done between both countries. Let's not look at population. Let's look at the potential. Let's not look at challenges. Let's look at opportunities. So those opportunities are the things that we're trying to bring to bear in our relationships. Actually, as I speak to you, I'm on my way to Botswana tomorrow. So my interview is a precursor to my trip.
That's very good to know indeed. And let's take a look at the relations between both countries over the years. I mean, you have said that you are an honorary consul, you'll be based in Lagos, but you're actually the very first consul that we've had in the country. We don't have any other one apart from you that's based in Lagos right now. And I want you to talk about the economic growth of that country. I mean, it has been a shining example when it comes to the issues of economics and, across the continent, and it's deemed to be corrupt-free, it's deemed to be an investor haven, investment destination, and all those sort of words. What has made Botswana to actually grow its economy over the years, and what are the lessons for other African countries?
Well, let me say something unequivocally. Botswana is around about 2 million, 2.1, 2.2 million people. I mean, it's often a joke, but it's a serious joke because it's the truth. Botswana has more heads of cattle than people, but their potential is not in their heads of cattle, but in other things that they're very good at. They are a mining nation. They're an agrarian nation to a large extent because of the beef. As you introduced in the intro, Bostwana is the largest producer of beef in Africa. So if a country of 2.2 million people is the largest producer of beef in a continent of 1.5 billion people, then that says a lot. So with this ACFTA, we should take advantage of the opportunities. So for us, or for me, what I see is opportunities. And those opportunities are the things I'm trying to harness and I'm working on. So for me, as soon as you can see, I've hit the ground running. So I'm going to Botswana. In spite of COVID, I'm still going to Botswana, but of course I'm going to stay safe and stay covered.
Talk about mining, which is a very clear aspect that Botswana has made some gains in tourism. Yes. Mining is big business in Botswana, and the government seems to be milking that since the discovery of gold in that country. What are the lessons you think that country can share with Nigeria, especially with your current rule?
The lessons we can share there are what you call regulation. You know, in Botswana, they're the largest producer of diamonds as well. So diamonds are not forever, but diamonds are forever for now in Botswana. So diamond and gold. So Botswana has the Botswana Development Commission, BDC, which is like the one-stop shop for a lot of things being done in Botswana. So what Nigeria needs to do is like have the BDC is like the NIPC of Botswana. So what Nigeria should try and do is to have a one-stop shop in Nigeria where all investment-related activities can be harnessed, which is why I'm particularly very chuffed. And we're having a meeting with my very good friend, the Executive Secretary of the NIPC, Iwande Sadiku, who, of course, I know has a proper understanding of how we should handle trade across the continent. So for me, tourism, agriculture, health, education, and what you will call, you know, they have large swaths of gaming. When I talk about game, I talk about game. So you find out different fauna, okay, in Botswana. What I want to do is to bring a lot of Botswanas, which is the language you speak, to Nigeria, and a lot of Nigerians to Botswana. So I'll be looking at doing something which I will consider novel. Probably when I come back, I'll be meeting with the Minister of Aviation, Captain Hadi Sirika, but also set up a BASA. BASA is a bilateral civil agreement between Nigeria and Botswana so that we can have a direct flight from each other. Don't forget that right now, as we speak, South African Airways is more or less moribund and is not flying anymore. So direct flights to South Africa now are non-existent. So even me who's going to Botswana right now, I've had to do that through another airline. So I'm going through Addis Ababa. So you can understand how cumbersome it is for me to go to Addis Ababa first before I go to Botswana. But again, like I said, ACFTA, we need to do something. So what we're doing, we need to do right.
You really have a lot ahead of you. Now, let's talk about the issue of mining, which I really want to emphasize on because Nigeria hasn't made its huge progress in that aspect. But we have, for example, Bostwana, which is the mining agency in charge of the diamond mining of the country, being a 50-50%, you know, joint venture between it and the bears, you know, this global mining conglomerate and all of that. Now, that has been seen as a very good kind of special purpose vehicle that a lot of African countries can copy from. How do you think that other African countries can have such kind of joint ventures without the people being, you know, undermined, like we've seen other African countries losing track when it comes to holding joint ventures to mine their solid minerals?
Thank you very much for that question. And I like the angle you came in from, talking about partnerships and partnerships amongst African countries. De Beers, of course, is South African, and it's South African, if you know what I mean. So it's not South African indigenous, as it were, but South Africans, South Africans. So to that extent, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot that can be done. And those partnerships must be partnerships that work. It must be a handshake. For them, they do a lot of alluvial mining. So for them, there's an efficiency and effectiveness in what they do. So African countries can learn from that. I mean, look at us. I'm sure before I came on set, I was listening to the lady on PIB. Regulation is important in Nigeria. So those are the things that we need to do. Nigeria's regulation, there are too many flip-flops. But again, this is not about Nigeria, and we're talking about Botswana. And for me, what is important is bring best practice from Botswana to Nigeria, and best practice from Nigeria to Botswana. So export one, import the other. So it's an export-import kind of thing. So your question is very apt, very valid, very timely.
And how has the Botswana government actually ensured that the mining helps the people? Because we've seen mining also being done in Nigeria for oil, but a lot of Nigerians keep complaining that over the years, it looks like the people have been left behind. So how is the diamond industry supporting people? Very quickly before we go on a short break.
Let me tell you how it's supporting people. Because of the resource. You see, people always talk about resource costs, but the resource of Botswana has not been a cost, it has been a blessing. You know why? Education is free, healthcare is free, and people are given monies to set up businesses. So you can understand how easy it is for an average Swana man, or Swana boy, or Swana girl, to be able to do anything in Botswana. Healthcare is free, so you don't have to worry about your healthcare. Okay, education is free as well, so you don't have to worry about education. So tell me more. What better value can you get from that?
Very interesting indeed. Well, just hold your thoughts there, Honorary Consul. We're going on a very short break. When we come back, we'll continue. You're still watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead, including we continue our chat with Botswana's first Honorary Consul to Nigeria in Lagos. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we still have with us the Honorary Consul of Botswana to Nigeria, based in Lagos, Honorable Ade Adefeko. Well, I've added Honorable to you. Well, it's so good to have you here. Now, let's talk about how political stability in that small Southern African country has contributed to economic growth and development, with what you had said earlier on about how, for example, mining is contributing to ensuring free education and all of that.
Yes, you're very right. I mean, Botswana has had how many leaders from independence? They had the Sir Seretse Khama, they have President Kate Maseri, they had the son of Seretse Khama, Ian Khama, and of course, they have the current vice president, the former vice president to Seretse Khama. So this is their fourth president since 1966. So there's a semblance of transition, political transition, from one leader to another. So there's organization. So I mean, it's a rarity to even hear that there might be a coup in a country like Botswana. So Botswana is just a tourism haven, a political bedrock, and of course, an investment hub, and always in the continent. So small but mighty. So that is happening, and we're helping them a lot. So you don't hear of any, corruption is at its lowest. And of course, if you talk about Transparency International, they'll tell you about how transparent and how the elections have gone, to be fair and fair. And again, on the financial front, the deputy head for Africa, or the head for Africa for WHO in the health area is from Botswana. So Botswana has some very prominent people as well, in spite of the fact that they're a small country. So like I said, they're small but mighty, and that's very important.
Okay. Let's look at how Ian Khama, the former president, actually wanted to, sort of not support the incumbent president, and it looked like there was going to be political instability, but the country was able to overcome that. How do you think that, elder statesmen and top political leaders in that country have been able to ensure that constitutionalism prevail, and there's that commercial atmosphere, actually that will guarantee business and foreign investments without, political instability like it's prevalent in other countries?
Well, thank you very much. As a matter of policy, I refrain from commenting on the politics because don't forget that I'm the Honorary Consul of Botswana in Lagos. I'm Nigerian to boot. So I do not like to comment on the politics, but I can comment on the economics. But I know that you always talk about political economy. But what has happened is that the country, Botswana, has a self-correct button. So anything that was supposed to happen or that was supposed to derail anything, self-corrected itself. Self-corrected, and I think that's a very good sign. So there are no hiccups. Things self-corrected. So with what has happened now, the world knows that Botswana is open for business, and that is very, very important.
That you have to play there, but a lot of our viewers also have to be enlightened on why Botswana has been very successful in containing, its internal politics and not allowing, a situation whereby you have political instability. And this takes me to the issue of the economic strength of the country. Talking about the GDP, I mean, it's one of the, highest GDP per capita across the continent and all of that. How do you foresee the country going forward with your role? Here is Botswana, a very small country, and here you are being appointed an honorary consul to a very large country, Nigeria, which is actually having dwindling GDP per capita. So what are the lessons both countries need to be learning from each other? Here you have the big one, and here you have the small one doing better.
Yeah, well, big will try and complement small, and small will complement big in return. So the strengths of the big will be brought to bear on the weakness of the small, and vice versa. So, of course, you know that they have the second largest pension funds in Africa, after South Africa. So South Africa has PIC, they have theirs, which is the second largest pension fund. Of course, Nigeria has its own pension fund, which I'm sure that there was an attempt to try and take some money from at some point in time. I don't know how that went. But again, what is important is that there's enough in the basket in Botswana to go around. But again, corruption is more or less non-existent. I'm not saying there's no corruption, but it's more or less non-existent. So those are lessons to be learned from there. And I think we should just take a cue from there. Nigeria is not doing badly itself. I mean, we're the largest economy in Africa. Yes, we're having dwindling resources because we have been mono-products-led rather than diversification, talking about agriculture, mining, But again, those lessons are lessons we will learn, and we'll learn over time. My tenure is not tenured. So I'll continue to try and do my best to promote Nigeria-Botswana relations, and I think that should stand. If I continue to do that, that should stand me in good stead to promote Nigeria-Botswana relations. And again, you are speaking to the fact that they're stable. They're stable because they're homogeneous. They speak one language. It's called Swana. So you find out that when you speak one language, there's a tendency not to be able to have any fights, as it were, because everybody speaks one language. But don't forget that we are heterogeneous, but Botswana is homogeneous.
One of your pieces, which you had done about the country about 2 years back, you had mentioned that the country's leadership was always different from what its African counterparts had to offer. It took decisions that protected the country from the dangers of mineral discovery, which is a very crucial issue because we have, countries, look at, for example, Nigeria Republic here with rich uranium, but it hasn't been able to manage that resource very well, and some other countries like that. Now, what are the lessons? What are those specific things that you feel have been put on ground to checkmate corruption in mineral mining? Because that is where the major problem is usually located. Corruption between foreign investors who want to come in and bastardize the system, and some local collaborators who want to undermine their country just to make some monies here and there. What are the lessons that we'll have to learn about Botswana containing corruption, especially in the mining industry?
Well, let me tell you something. How they are able to contain corruption is because they have legislation. They have legislation, they have sanctions. What doesn't get measured doesn't get, it's often said that what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. So to a large extent, Botswana has been doing their sanctions. So, and for everything they do, there's legislation. And that legislation is backed up by law. And they have enabling laws that have been there since independence to back up a lot of the things they do. So, like I said, there's zero tolerance for corruption. To a large extent, it doesn't exist. So if you check Transparency International ratings on them, it's very, very high. Even this COVID pandemic has brought to sharp relief the effect of transparency in curbing their numbers and helping to make sure that I think their borders were closed at one point to South Africa, who are their neighbors. But again, like I said, they're a country that thrives on the rule of law. They have, sometimes maybe small countries can be nifty and efficient and effective. And I think that's what they do. So legislation is important, and to a large extent, I think that's what has been working for them.
With your appointment, you actually meant to be promoting Botswana as an investment destination, and there are lots of hopefully billionaires among our viewers and other Nigerians who may just want to go on tourism and all of that, or even small and medium enterprises who want to invest in that country. Can you just take us through some of the steps actually necessary to make that happen? When Nigerians want to invest in Botswana, what are the steps they need to take, and how easy is the ease of doing business in that country?
I have already established contacts within Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, and the president of Botswana. They've had phone talks, on a meet and greet basis. And when post-COVID, I think I'll be leading a delegation of Nigerian businesses, large, small scale, large, medium scale, and small scale enterprises, who are we taking from aviation to agriculture, to manufacturing, to lights packaging and all that, to Botswana to go and set up. So whatever Botswana lacks, Botswana is an agrarian country, but it's not an agrarian country because it's a desert. So there's not much that can grow. So a lot of this food comes from South Africa. So what I want to try and encourage is as far as we are, we should be able to get food across to them that they need. But that's because when the BASA, the bilateral service agreement between Nigeria and Botswana, kicks in. And that, as I said, is still in its infancy, because I'm here to discuss with the Minister of Aviation, Captain Ade Adefeko, but I'll be having talks with him post my return from Gaborone.
Talking about tourism, which I had mentioned, it's one key area. A lot of Nigerians like traveling, and there are those opportunities in that country. And then also one other area I'd read about is that Botswana is actually seeking infrastructure development and all of that. What other key areas should be the focus for investors who are interested in that economy?
What is very good again is that a lot of Africans, a lot of Nigerians like to go to Dubai, go to London. Let's begin to discover our continent. So the Okavango Delta is a place where, you see nature at its best. So, and again, of course, you have a lot of game. So a lot of resorts where the British royal princes and princesses come and more or less enjoy themselves. So tourism is very high. And of course, Nigerians like to travel. But Nigerians' problem is that if you don't give them a visa, probably on arrival or prior to traveling, then it's become a problem. So I think the visa process in Botswana has now been worked on. And so you can get your visa on arrival in Botswana prior to it, and you can get it again from Abuja. And I will be able to facilitate that again from my office in Lagos. So tourism is very important, agriculture is important, and those are things that I think we should work on.
Very interesting.
So,
talk about
police barracks, for example, very well. Real estate, very good. Hotels, hospitality, healthcare, very good, top-notch. And that's what we expect of an oasis in the desert, which is what I call Botswana, an oasis in the desert.
Now, Honorary Consul, let's talk about the issue of beef that you talked about. Lots of Nigerians would want to say we already seem to have a lot of, beef in the country. A lot of cattle and all of that. Why should they be importing beef from Botswana and all of that? What are the opportunities, investment opportunities on that aspect, and how willing are Nigerians actually to accept beef from Botswana?
What Nigeria should learn from Botswana is what you call ranching. So Nigerians can go to Botswana and learn the art of ranching, how to ranch. And Botswana will bring its expertise to bear, and we'll have what you call hybrids, and we'll see how that works. They're not so strong on dairy, but they're strong on the beef part of it and the ranching part of it. And that is an area where Nigeria is lacking. Of course, Nigeria imports a lot of its beef from everywhere. We have our own beef, but the beef we have as well is not particularly what you call good meat. Of course, you know, in terms of beef, which you use for steak in the world, one of the largest producers of that beef in the world is Argentina. But like I told you, in Africa, the largest producer of beef is Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, in that order. And I think Zambia comes a distant fifth.
Okay. And very, very quickly, you talked about ranching. You know, when the government here tried to introduce something like that, there were fears of, you know, for example, this Fulani cattle header, farmer cattle header clashes and all of that. And then there were those fears that land will be taken and all of that. Just take us through the merits of that ranching system in 1 minute.
Well, the only merits of the ranching system is that, again, don't forget that, like I told you, Botswana is homogeneous. Nigeria is heterogeneous. So the ranching problem in Nigeria is political. The ranching in Botswana is not political. So, like I told you, I don't want to discuss the politics of any of these things. Whatever Nigeria decides to do on the ranching part, they can do. States can go. I will encourage states to come with me. State the governors, I will encourage my good friend, the chairman of the Governors Forum, Governor Fahimi, to come with me to Botswana. And I'm told that the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, as well, has been to Botswana. So to see the opportunity. So it's already good that a lot of governors, subnationals, are already going to Botswana to see the potential of ranching and how that ranching can work for them. So
thank you so much. Just hold your thoughts there because we just have to go on a very short break. And when we return, we'll continue on the last lap of the show. You're still watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead. Come back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Somna Sambo. Born to a diplomat father who exposed him to traveling at an early age, Ade Adefeko had spent a greater part of his childhood in different parts of the world. As a commercial diplomat and Pan-Africanist, he strives to advance Africa's cause and agenda. He's a polyglot and avid writer and columnist. He's a former football pundit on SuperSport. A writer once wrote that when you meet Adefeko, you may break a smile from him by saying, "Up Gunners." Well, he has had an affinity for Botswana and once described the country as an oasis in the desert and a new investment hub in southern Africa. Well, we still have him here now, honorary consul Ade Adefeko. So let's take a look at, I mean, you've had an interesting profile over the years, and one of the things that has got you to this job is your ability to be able to speak several languages, not only on the continent, but globally. I mean, here you are speaking 10 global languages, and I don't know, can you just take us through the process of learning these languages and how they've been very helpful to you in your career?
Well, I would say that so far I'm 51 and I've been to over 50 countries. So it seems like I go to a country every year, as it were. So since the age of 1, I've been traveling, as it were. So, and that is very good because my father was an ex-diplomat. So I've been traversing the world, and for me, language acquisition or language skills are things that I've tried to acquire over time. So my French, Portuguese, German, and Spanish, my Sotho, Ndebele, Swahili, and all those languages I speak, coupled with the Nigerian local languages of Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba, a bit of Igbo as well. So I mean, all of my languages were not even captured in that interview. But again, I started when I was about 13 or 14. I learned, or I knew that the Pope then, Pope John Paul II, the man from Wojtyła, Karol, the man from Poland, Krakow, could speak 12 languages. The Pope then. So I said to myself, I will want to surpass this Pope by speaking as many languages as possible. So I started learning and learning and learning. And for me, language acquisition or language learning comes very easy to me because I pick up languages very easily. So if I stay in this environment for 1 month, 2 months, I picked up the language. And don't forget that a lot of languages are root languages from, so French, Portuguese, and Spanish are more or less similar. So facile, facile. So it's easy for me. So the only difference is that German is Germanic, okay? Closer to English. Swahili is closer to Hausa, okay? So Ndebele and, Ndebele and Zulu are closer to themselves, to the what's it called, to the Bantu languages. So we can go on and on. So for me, language is for me is a breaker, is a deal breaker anywhere. I've used that to break deals at different fora.
And now we want to ask which of them is your favorite. I mean, because if you're speaking 10 languages, we would want to hear which of them is your favorite. And I want you to say it on air.
Good question.
So that we'll get to hear from you directly.
Well, okay. I will say my favorite is French, because for me, after English, French is the second most spoken language. So I can speak in French and just tell the viewers that je suis tellement heureux d'être sur Arise Interview avec Sambo. Le nom c'est Sambo?
Very well. Somna Sambo.
Samina Sambo, right? Okay.
Well,
I was trying to ask you that it's an honor for me to be on the interview, and that I didn't really get your name, but I know that you worked with my wife at old NN24.
Yeah. So good to know that you still remember that very well. Yeah, and now...
Exactly. No, I can remember very well.
Okay, now, one will want to know your ability, how your ability to speak Swana will help you as the honorary consul of Botswana to Nigeria. When you get to Gaborone, by the time you land there, will you be speaking English with them, or you'll be speaking the Swana language?
That is the language I will add to it. And by the time I'm done with my tenure, I will be speaking fluent Swana.
That's so good to know. Now, I'm interested in actually knowing how your experience, combined experience in information technology, banking, pay television, FMCGs, and all of that will help you to be successful in this new position, to help you break the deals that are necessary for you to actually assert your authority in this position as an honorary consul. How will that experience come to bear?
Well, what I will tell you is that this is a 360-degree thing. So for me, it's important to have a worldview. Travel is enlightenment. I have a worldview because I'm widely traveled. So I don't see things from a narrow prism, which is why when I went to Federal Government College of Ogbolu, and I met a lot of people from different states, okay? I picked up Igbo, I picked up Hausa, and of course I already spoke Yoruba anyway, so that was easy. And when I came to Lagos once in a while, and I go to Badagry, I picked up Igbo. So that again too became easy. So for me, there are some languages I speak a smattering of, but the languages I speak fluently are those 10 languages. So you can count another 5 languages where I speak a smattering of it and I will not get lost. So that has made me well-rounded, and I've brought my experience to bear in that. So
now let's talk about how your impact in Olam has helped the country actually to be an investment destination for agriculture. We have seen your company, Olam, actually investing so much into rice production, animal husbandry, feeds, and all of that. And it's putting Nigeria, within a global context of being an investment destination for agriculture and agribusiness generally. How do you think that you can help to expand the discourse on agribusiness between both countries in your new role?
Thank you very much. As you know, the honorary consul job is not a full-time job. My full-time job is still as Vice President of Olam. So my honorary consulship is a part-time job, is to promote investments. So as you know, Olam is the largest agribusiness company in Nigeria today. We've been in Nigeria for the last 31 years and still counting. So this is going to be our 32nd year. So, and for us, we started in Nigeria. It's a Singapore company owned by Temasek, the sovereign wealth fund of Singapore, and Mitsubishi of Japan. So from farm to fork, or from seed to shelf. That's what Olam has been doing. Olam has a rice facility in Nasarawa. That facility in Nasarawa is worth $140 million. Over 10,000 hectares of rice farm and mill. And of course, it's the home of Mama's Pride and Chef's Choice. So if you look at the market today, Olam rice is the #1 staple in rice. And of course, you know that Olam equally acquired Dangote flour sometime in October 2019. So for us, we can only go higher, and I will use my role to see whether we can set up. Olam is in over 60 countries, of which 24 are in Africa. So I would probably like to make Botswana the 25th country. And We have an animal feed plant in Kaduna, which the president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, came to commission sometime in September 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot we're doing. We own OK Foods, biscuits and confectionery. We have investments in oil palm, with a Riyadh oil palm, which is an oil palm refinery in Lagos. So I can go on and on. We do agribusiness, and that's what we're good at. Fish feed, animal feed, rice, biscuits and confectionery. And that for us is what we practice and play.
I mean, a lot of Nigerians are grateful for those investments coming into the country because they came when the country really needed enough foreign direct investments. But one would want to wonder, with you traveling to over 50 countries, learning all these languages, do you have time for yourself? And what do you do at your leisure time? I mean, apart from you being a sports analyst on some cable news channels here and there, what do you do during your leisure time, and how would this be helpful to you in your new role?
What I do is I hang out a little with my buddies. So my buddies will watch football. I'm an Arsenal fan for over 30 years. So, and of course, locally, I'm an Enyimba fan. So locally, I support Enyimba. Internationally, I support Arsenal. So the league has grown in leaps and bounds, but it can be better. But again, so far, so good. What I try to do now is to make sure that I spend time with the family. When I'm spending time with the family, I'm making sure that time is quality time. And quality time with family, quality time with friends, quality time with, well-wishers, and that's about it.
As we try to coast home, you are one very firm believer in the unity of this country. I mean, I've heard you talk passionately about this country and how each government that comes into power should be supported and all of that. What do you do? What do you think Nigerians ought to do that they are not doing? And how can we remain more united in terms of development and providing political support for those in authority at all times?
See, Nigerians should understand that anytime there's an election, it's a 4-year cycle. That president is the president of Nigeria. At that point in time, he has been elected. So no matter how much you like or you don't like him, it doesn't change anything. He's the president of the country at that point in time. So what you need to do is to support him. Yes, you have a right to criticize him as well. But when you criticize and you don't offer concrete solutions or concrete measures to alleviate the suffering, because talk is cheap. You often find out that people who served in government before and are now out of government will start criticizing the current government. So the question you ask them is, when they were there, what did they do? If they had done better, we wouldn't be in the situation where we are. So I often laugh when I hear a former minister or a former DG or a former executive of a company or a parastatal saying that this is not right, that is not right. When you were there, what did you do? And when you tried to do it and it didn't work, why didn't you resign? So I'm one of those people who believe that, listen, we must take a prominent part, play a prominent role in the narrative of our country. And it's not by criticizing our country every time externally, that we're not this, we're not that, we're not this, we're not that. I mean, Nigeria is not a bad country. So there's unity in diversity. Am I one who believes in true federalism? Yes, I do. Am I the one who believes in state police? Yes, I do. But if there are ways there's a way and manner in which state police can be achieved, then achieve it through the constitutional channel, and to the ballot box. So,
thank you so much.
You see, Nigerians, a lot of armchair critics.
All right, we just have to go right now. Honorary Consul, well, we've been speaking throughout this past 5 minutes with the Honorary Consul of Botswana to Nigeria. I mean, the newest one and only one we've had from this country representing that other country. Honorary Consul Ade Adefeko, it's been very wonderful having you during this interview, on the Arise interview, and we can only wish you well in your new position. We're also hoping that the relations between both countries will be boosted to the benefit of the people of both countries. Well, that's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching.